Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Danny. I am a recovery coach. I'm a FAMM certified practitioner, and I am talking to you today about athletic amenorrhea, getting your period back as an athlete. So athletic amenorrhea, hypothalamic amenorrhea, actually the same thing, but there's unique challenges for someone who considers themselves an athlete trying to get their period back. And so I want to talk directly to you today. So as an athlete, the reason we're losing our period is due to overexertion. So too much movement, too much training with not enough fuel and rest and recovery. So this happens really frequently, and I almost want to say more so in the amateur athlete space too, because we're not typically working with a full team, a nutrition team, a coach who's like really keeping a close eye on all of our health markers, all of that stuff. And so typically we push ourselves harder without anyone there to help us pull back. And as an athlete, more is better in our mind. And so even though we could maybe objectively say, I know that I need to rest and recover in order to perform better, it can be really hard mentally for us to do that. Many of us think that we need to train harder because we're behind on our goals, right? And so I need you as an athlete to take a second to pause, step back and see, okay, how do I look after myself? Is it true that I need to push myself harder? And is it true that I shouldn't be able to take a step back to work on my health? So here's the thing, getting your period back as an athlete is scary to do. Many of the reasons we're fearful of it is because we are afraid that our coach and teammates won't understand. We identify as being an athlete, and so if we have to do something that makes us stop, it's really hard for us mentally and emotionally. Like, what do we fill our day with? How do other people perceive us? It's much like when an athlete gets an injury and they're out. That's really mentally challenging. They can't train. And resolving your amenorrhea, getting your period back, this is similar because you have to sit out training now. You typically have to rehab back down and you can do very little. There's a pressure for us to be always training as athletes. And so when we have to take time to not train, that is really, really difficult for us. There's fear of falling behind competitively. And that's pretty much the number one fear, right? You think about it and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't train, I'm gonna lose. So that's a big fear. And then lastly, there is a huge pressure to look like an athlete, to look like you work out as much as you do. And I've seen that a lot, especially having worked in the nutrition coaching space. A very common goal to say to like your coach or your nutrition coach or something is, I work out a lot and I want to look like I do. And this is so interesting because for many people, the fact that your period's missing and you feel like you don't look like the athlete you are can bring up many red flags. For example, maybe you have orthorexia or orthorexic tendencies and you don't see your body for the reality of what it is, which is very athletic looking, or your hormones are underperforming so much so that your body is holding on to water retention, bloating, you're not making strength and hypertrophy gains, and you're struggling to actually, work with your body and perform at a high level. So this brings us to some of the reasons that you should recover. It's much easier when women are basically trying to recover to get pregnant because the goal is really specific and people are more at peace with their body changing during pregnancy anyway. But with athletes, it's much scarier because you feel like you're moving backwards and what if this doesn't work? But the benefits, the value to recovering your period as an athlete is that once you do and your hormones are back on track, all of those plateaus that you've been experiencing, those are going to go away because your performance is going to improve. And you might think that your performance is really good right now, and so you're going to lose all of that. But if your performance is really good when you're training with amenorrhea, that means there's potential that you haven't even unlocked yet. So I want you to keep in mind that the version of you as an athlete without your period is not superior to the version of you as an athlete with your period. I can guarantee this. So when you start to hormonally function again, you'll find that you have more energy, you'll find that your strength gains are more prominent because your body has resources to give to that, you know, versus always being in this depleted state. When our hormones are functioning properly, we're able to run all systems of our body at full capacity. That's what we need. That's what being an athlete is, moving your body at full capacity. So if you take this time to go back, bring your body back up to the baseline it needs to be at and have the hormonal foundation that you need to, you're going to experience better performance. You're going to experience less injury because bone density is high. You have everything, you know, running optimally. Your body's not compensating as much for the areas that are falling behind. Your readiness to train improves. So this is huge, right? If you just have more energy to give at training, you will train better and you will make more strength gains. And then lastly, a big part of this process for many of you will be going down from training 5 to 7 days a week to potentially training 5 to 3, 2, or even 1 for a while. And you will likely actually see improvements in your ability to learn, retain, and perfect new skills if you have a skill-based sport, to get stronger and build more lean muscle mass. And you will experience this on less days, especially as you get older. So less days of training. If you go down to 3 days of strength training, once recovered, not during recovery, but once recovered, you'll probably find you get back to the weights, for example, or the distance or times that you're running, for example. You get back to those quickly because muscle memory is real and they feel easier, and then you'll quickly surpass that because you are functioning optimally. So this is really important stuff to remember as a motivation and as a reason to get your period back. Even though it's hard to do because of that temporary period of time where you're feeling like you've lost who you are as an athlete and feeling scared that you're not going to reach the potential that you want to. Yes, it's scary, but true athletes, and this counts for everyone, right? Like true athletes, true business owners, true investors, all of those things, they take risks. And if you want to be the best, if you want to win, if you want to perform at your highest, you will not ignore this because you're afraid of a few months of a setback. Take a step back to go 2 steps forward. That is 100% what this is about. So what you'll have to do is talk with your team. So talk with your coach, your nutrition coach, or whoever, your whole team. Tell them what's going on and what you're going to do about it. If you want to do a small reduction in exercise as you go, or like adjust your training so that you're doing less intensity and beginning to eat more food, you can, but do it very strategically. I recommend you work with a coach. You could work with myself or my co-coaches over at the HA Society, and we could help you make sure that you're eating enough and not overtraining, and make sure that that eating enough piece is in place. So it's going to be hard for you mentally to do less training but eat more, but this is a part of the process. You're not going to gain an amount of weight that is obscene or unheard of, or it makes you be considered morbidly obese, and you're going to feel better. You're going to start to sleep better. You're going to feel aches and niggles start to improve, especially if you're making blood flow, right? I don't agree with sitting on the couch throughout this time. Take walks, stretch, mobilize, work on areas of your body that you've been neglecting in terms of mobility. This is an opportunity for all of that so that you're primed and ready for when you do come back to training. You are going to have to eat more. You are going to have to do significantly less, if anything, no training, but it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine and you're going to reap the benefits, and it's going to make you a better athlete. And I can't wait to hear you tell your success story to all of the other women who look up to you. As a female athlete in this space, it is actually your obligation to train with a healthy menstrual cycle and to let other women know how important it is. So I hope that this was helpful. If you're an athlete with amenorrhea, you can definitely do this, and it's going to be so worth it. Please subscribe to this channel if you like it. I release a new video every week. And if you have any topics or questions, please shoot them, post them below in the comments so that I see them and I can make a video about it. Have a good day.